we're going to discuss in a second just how serious this is. Grace Ocean is relying on a 173-year-old archaic law to shield them. This law was used to protect the owner of the Titanic. That's how ridiculous this is. But as the bodies of our clients were still under the bridge, the owner of this boat was in court trying to protect their assets. That's the state of affairs that we're here for. And that's why this law is not only going to deprive the victims of justice, but the people in this city and the people in this state who have claims.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Mahoney. I'm a partner at the law firm of Kreindler & Kreindler in New York, and we are honored to represent these families alongside the Stewart Law Firm. Ladies and gentlemen, as you just heard, the Limitation of Liability Act was passed 173 years ago in 1851. That's about 20 years before Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. And yet it is being invoked today, in this case in 2024, to not only attempt to limit, but eliminate compensation to these families. The Limitation of Liability Act of 1851 is unfair, it's unjust, and it serves no purpose. It rubs salt in the wounds of these family members who now must enter this claims process while they're still mourning their loved ones. Now, we are not afraid of the limitation. We will defeat it, but we shouldn't have to. And as we did in the last major maritime disaster in the United States, we must take this opportunity to call upon Congress to take action and repeal the Limitation of Liability Act of 1851 once and for all. Thank you.
Any brief questions? Sadly, our clients are not ready to speak right now. As you can, of course, you can see that they're still mourning. There was a funeral just this past Friday, and the story of Julio Suarez is something that is going to be an epic tale in itself. He survived. He's the only survivor that went fully into the water, and he survived because his window was manual. He was able to roll down the window and escape. You can imagine how frightening that is. And then he was able to hang on to some drifting steel and survive. Any brief questions?
We've heard mixed reactions from the state and others that the workers were notified prior, even verbally. Did you find that to be the case?
No, and luckily we represent the only survivor. Where he was there, he can speak for himself. They absolutely got zero warning. He had no idea. He watched everybody go into the water. So, you know, they were not warned. They were actually sitting in their cars on break.
Could you tell us, he went into the water, rolled down the window, gets out of the vehicle that he was in. He was the only one in that vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Where does he go from there? You said he swam to a piece of the bridge. What was the next step? How did he get help?
He was stranded on, I believe it was a rock or a piece of metal that was floating by. But he's going to be speaking. We're just letting you know his story is amazing, but it has left him with severe mental and emotional pain and suffering, because also he lost family members in that. Some of the workers were related, including some of his family who perished.
And he can't swim.
He can't swim.
Can't swim.
So who got him out of the water?
You mean ultimately how he got out?
Yeah, how did he get out of the water?
We want him to tell you this story. We want him to tell you his story, because his story is going to be very impactful immediately. Immediately. We don't want to step on it, but he fought for his life and he survived.
And he was rescued by workers, but he's going to be speaking at some point.
Danny with Washington Post. How do you feel about the FBI's criminal investigation that was launched today, and do you want to see criminal charges?
I mean, any type of investigation, additional eyes, like we said, is fantastic. We've had a lot of cases where the federal government getting involved to add a criminal investigation element has been very effective and very helpful. It leaves no stone unturned. So, of course, the government being involved and not leaving it just to the people that caused the tragedy, and it's a plus. So families are very happy about that right now.
Are you in touch with the FBI?
We have not heard from the FBI right now.
Scott Gellman with WTOP. You mentioned there was no notice given. What's your understanding of what should have happened, if anything, in that moment for those workers to have been alerted?
We'll learn more as the investigation is ongoing. We don't have any further information on that right now. As everybody knows, the facts are still coming in. The only thing we've really been doing is grieving with the families. It hasn't even been much talk about the legal process and things that are going on. The only devastating conversation we had to have with them was informing them that the people responsible for this have already gone to court to stop their future cases. So imagine telling that to grieving families that while they're planning a funeral, the owner of the boat is in court trying to stop the city, state, and victims from filing claims.
The city mayor of Baltimore also announced today that the city is taking proactive steps
Yes.
to address what happened. Are you involved in that process? But there's quite a few litigation pieces happening at the same time. Are you involved in that?
No, we're not involved with the city piece, but all of the city, state, whoever else, businesses, whoever else has been harmed are all going to be fighting against the owners of this boat.
And if they would like for our help, we'd love for them to reach out. We'd love to talk to them anytime. Yes?
Beatrice Peterson, ABC News. I was just wondering if I can get some more information about any lawsuits that you guys are filing or planning to file. And I also want to hear what justice looks like for you, for these three men who are victims.
Yeah. Can we draft a petition?
Sure. So the first step for us, because we're required to do it, is to file a claim within this limitation action presently pending in federal court in Maryland. And from there, the claims will proceed like a normal personal injury lawsuit. And we will seek the maximum available compensation for our families and the victims.
Every kind word, every loving gesture, every support, every influence, every life's lesson, the course of his life has been irrevocably altered.
Yeah, we're required to file by September 24th a claim against the vessel owner, the petitioners in that proceeding. And if we were to go, for example, to a different court, it would be dismissed because the court's order has stayed all claims against those parties, the vessel owner.
Okay, so it'll just be one case, and it will be in that.
The case against the vessel owner will proceed in federal court in the limitation proceeding. There are potential avenues to proceed in another venue, a state court venue. Those options are on the table, but at this early juncture, the first step will be to file claims within the limitation proceeding.
You mentioned that you want Congress to repeal the Limitation Act. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so in a normal personal injury claim, the injured party takes their time, investigates the claim, and brings the claim in a venue of their choice. And what the Limitation Act does is it flips that on its head. The petitioner brings the claim in a federal venue, which can operate to deprive the injured parties of a right to trial by jury. And it's the injured person who was wronged, in our view, who should be able to select a venue of their choice, who should obtain a trial by jury if they want one, and who should not have to face a limitation or potential limitation of the damages that they are owed.
This is just going along with the, following up on the procedural path of this case. So as the judge indicated that he's going to wait until all claims are filed by the 24th, or September 24th, before ruling on whether the ship owner can limit its liability in this case? Just how does this case proceed?
So the case will proceed once the monition period is up in September, late September. Much like a normal injury lawsuit, there'll be discovery, and we will be investigating through that discovery process the liability of the vessel owner under maritime law principles, with a little bit of complication here, given that the National Transportation Safety Board's investigation will take precedence, and they have basically exclusive access to the evidence. So we'll have to let that board process play out. And then you have the burden as the claimant to establish negligence on behalf of the vessel owner. And then there's a separate analysis. They can seek to limit their liability to the stipulated value of the vessel, with some caveats that we don't have to get into here, if they show that they lacked what's called privity or knowledge over those negligent acts. And this is a totally antiquated 173-year-old principle that existed when owners were so remotely connected to these vessels and didn't have modern means of communicating with them. And the fact that it's being invoked today, it doesn't surprise me because the law is on the books, but it shouldn't be this way. We should not be dealing with this almost 200-year-old arcane process.
Are your clients just looking to pursue legal action against the owner of the vessel, or are they also planning legal action against the construction company?
We're going to be looking at every possible party involved in this situation. And in closing, just to address the very important question that was asked, what does justice look like? In every tragedy, we probably get that question, and the clients we represented in the Boeing crash and George Floyd and the many other cases that we've handled. What does justice look like? We don't know the answer, because what is the value of 6 lives that have been destroyed? There's no measure, there's no price you can put on it. We can ask for changes, we could pray that no other family faces something like this again, but there is no value we can set on it because it's priceless. We thank y'all for coming.
I'm Justin Miller. L. Chris Stewart. JUSTINMILLER. L. Chris Stewart. CHRISSTEWART. Michael Roth. MICHAELROTH. Right? Kevin Mahoney. KEVINMAHONEY. Kevin Mahoney's on the end. His law firm is called Kriegler and Kriegler, and he's a partner there.